Right now, someone you trust is talking about you, not to your face, to someone else, and the version of you they're describing, you wouldn't recognize it. This is not gossip. This is not drama. This is a calculated psychological weapon, and it has a name. Triangulation is the art of destroying trust without ever being caught. It's the favorite tool of narcissists, manipulators, and emotional predators, and the worst part, most victims never realize it's happening until the damage is already done. They wake up one morning and everyone they loved has turned against them, and they have no idea why. Control through information. Today, we're going to dissect this manipulation tactic piece by piece. You'll learn how narcissists weaponize your relationships, why they need a third person to maintain power, and most importantly, how to recognize it before it tears your world apart. By the end of this video, you'll see social dynamics in a way you never have before, and some of you will finally understand what happened to you. Imagine a puppeteer with two marionettes. Each puppet thinks it's moving on its own, making its own decisions. But every gesture, every reaction is being controlled by the same pair of hands above. That's triangulation. The term comes from family systems therapy, pioneered by psychiatrist Murray Bowen in the 1960s. Bowen observed that when tension rises between two people, a third person is often pulled in to stabilize the dynamic. In healthy relationships, this is natural. You vent to a friend, you ask a parent for advice. But in the hands of a narcissist, this three-person dynamic becomes something entirely different. It becomes a weapon of control. The manipulator doesn't need to be the strongest person in the room. They just need to control what everyone believes. The narcissist positions themselves at the center of the triangle, and they become the sole channel through which information flows. Person A only knows what the narcissist tells them about person B, and vice versa. Neither person ever gets the full truth. They get a carefully edited version, designed to create suspicion, jealousy, and dependence. And this is where it gets truly dangerous. You might be wondering, why would someone go through all this trouble? Why not just communicate directly? Because for narcissists, direct communication means vulnerability, and vulnerability is the one thing they cannot tolerate. Psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula explains that narcissists triangulate for three primary reasons. 1. To maintain a sense of superiority and control. 2. To keep their targets insecure and competing for approval. 3. To avoid accountability by never being the only witness. Think about it. If you're constantly worried about what someone else said about you, where is your focus? It's not on the narcissist's behavior, it's on the third person. The narcissist has successfully redirected your attention away from them. They create chaos between others, so nobody watches what they are actually doing. If this pattern is starting to feel familiar to you, hit like and subscribe to keep exploring the depths of your psyche with me. Because what I'm about to reveal next is the exact playbook they follow, step by step. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Here's how it works in practice. Let's say a narcissist is in a relationship with you. Everything seems fine until they casually mention their coworker. They say something like, Sarah really understands me. She just gets it. That sentence is not innocent. It's a seed. Planted. Now you're thinking about Sarah. You're comparing yourself to Sarah. You're wondering what Sarah has that you don't, and you haven't even met her. Next, the narcissist tells Sarah something about you. Maybe they say, my partner is so jealous and controlling. They won't even let me have friends. Now Sarah feels sorry for the narcissist. She sees you as the problem. Divide and conquer. Neither you nor Sarah is getting the truth. You're both getting a version of reality that's been carefully constructed to serve the narcissist's needs. As psychoanalyst Heinz Kohut noted in his work on narcissistic personality, the narcissist does not relate to people as whole beings, but as functions that serve the self. You're not a person to them, you're a chess piece. And this leads us to the most insidious part of the whole game. In The Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch had flying monkeys that did her dirty work. Narcissists have them too. In psychology, flying monkeys are the people who unknowingly carry out the narcissist's bidding. They spread the narcissist's version of events. They pressure you to apologize. They tell you that you're being too sensitive, and they have no idea they're being used. The most dangerous puppets are the ones who believe they are free. Your own mother could become a flying monkey, your best friend, your therapist if they're not careful. The narcissist recruits them by playing the victim. They cry, They show carefully selected text messages out of context. They say things like, "I just don't know what I did wrong." And because narcissists are often charming and convincing, people believe them. Dr. Craig Malkin at Harvard Medical School has documented how narcissists instinctively identify people with high empathy and exploit their desire to help. Your empathy becomes the narcissist's weapon against you, but here's what makes this even more disturbing. The ultimate goal of triangulation is not just to create conflict, it's isolation. Think about it strategically. If the narcissist can turn your friends against you, your family against you, even your children against you, what happens? You have nobody left. Alone. And when you're alone, who is the only person left in your world? The narcissist. This is by design. Psychologist Dr. George Simon, who specializes in manipulative personalities, describes this as a systematic dismantling of the victim's support network. The abuser's goal is not just to control you directly, but to ensure no one else can reach you. You start doubting yourself. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am the problem. Maybe everyone is turning away from me because I deserve it. This is the narcissist's reality distortion field in full effect. And the cruelest irony, when you try to explain what's happening, you sound paranoid. You sound crazy. Because the narcissist has already told everyone that you would say exactly this. Predicted your reaction. And speaking of losing your grip on reality, what comes next is perhaps the darkest chapter of all. Triangulation rarely operates alone. It's almost always fused with gaslighting, creating a psychological double bind that can drive anyone to the edge. Here's how the fusion works. The narcissist tells your sister that you said something terrible about her. You didn't. Your sister confronts you. You deny it because it never happened. But the narcissist has been so convincing, so detailed in their fabrication, that your sister doesn't believe you. Now you are defending yourself against something that never existed. When you confront the narcissist, they say, "I never said that. You're imagining things. Why do you always create drama?" You begin to question your own memory, your own sanity. This is the gaslighting triangulation loop, and it is devastatingly effective. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology has shown that consistent social invalidation, being told your perception is wrong by multiple people, can actually alter a person's memory and self-trust within weeks, not months, weeks. The narcissist doesn't just control what others think of you, they control what you think of yourself. But this raises a critical question. One of the most common and devastating forms of triangulation happens in romantic relationships. The narcissist introduces an ex-partner, a colleague, or even a stranger into the relationship dynamic, not as an actual threat, but as a psychological weapon. They might leave their phone open to a flirtatious message. They might compare you unfavorably to someone else. They might tell you about someone who is so interested in them. Jealousy as control. The goal is not to leave you. The goal is to make you compete. When you're competing for someone's love, you stop questioning their behavior. You stop setting boundaries. You become focused entirely on proving your worth to someone who will never acknowledge it. As the renowned relationship researcher Dr. John Gottman has observed, in healthy relationships, partners turn toward each other. In toxic ones, a third person is introduced to create turning away. The narcissist wants you desperate, not departed. They need you anxious, insecure, and constantly trying harder. Because a partner who feels secure might actually look clearly at the relationship and leave. And leaving is the narcissist's greatest fear. But what happens when this tactic is used within families? Triangulation within families is perhaps the most damaging of all because it starts in childhood before you have any psychological defenses. The narcissistic parent creates roles. The golden child can do no wrong. The scapegoat gets blamed for everything, and the invisible child is simply ignored. 1. Golden child, overpraised and meshed with the parent. 2. Scapegoat, blamed for all family dysfunction. 3. Invisible child, emotionally neglected, learns to disappear. These roles are not fixed. The narcissistic parent rotates them based on who is currently serving their needs and who is resisting. Siblings are pitted against each other. I wish you were more like your brother. Your sister would never treat me this way. The family becomes a battlefield where love is a currency controlled by one person. Family therapist Dr. Carol McBride documented this extensively in her research on narcissistic mothers. Children raised in these triangulated family systems often grow up believing that love is conditional, that relationships are competitive, and that trust is dangerous. They carry these wounds into every relationship for the rest of their lives. And the cycle repeats, generation after generation, until someone has the awareness to break it. Which brings us to the most important part of this entire conversation. So how do you break free from triangulation? The first step is the hardest, and you've already taken it: awareness. You cannot fight a weapon you cannot see. Now that you understand what triangulation looks like, you can start recognizing the patterns in real time. Awareness. Here are the practical defenses. First, refuse to engage in second-hand information. If someone tells you that another person said something about you, go directly to that person and verify. Narcissists cannot survive direct communication between their targets. It collapses the triangle. Direct contact kills triangles. Second, document everything. Narcissists rely on your memory being their word against yours. Written records destroy this advantage. Third, establish firm boundaries. As Dr. Henry Cloud writes in his groundbreaking work, boundaries define us. They define what is me and what is not me. When someone brings you gossip about a third party, say clearly, if they have a problem with me, they can tell me directly. This one sentence dismantles the entire triangulation structure. But there's one final truth that ties everything together. Here's what the narcissist doesn't want you to know. Triangulation only works on people who care. It only works on people with empathy, loyalty, and a genuine desire to be understood. Your sensitivity is not your weakness, it is what they exploit, because it is your strength. The narcissist targets you precisely because you are capable of deep connection. They use your best qualities against you, but once you see the game, you become untouchable, not cold, not bitter, just awake. Viktor Frankl, who survived the concentration camps, wrote something that applies perfectly here. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. You cannot change the narcissist. You cannot reason with them, love them into empathy, or prove your innocence convincingly enough. But you can change the one thing that breaks their entire system: you. You are the exit. When you stop reacting, stop competing, stop explaining, the triangle collapses. And for the first time, you stand alone, not in isolation, but in freedom. The person who no longer needs approval becomes impossible to manipulate. If you made it this far, comment triangle broken if you're ready to step out of the game. Welcome to the Psyche Project.